Hello, YouTube. I want to tell you a bit about my childhood so you can understand why I do the work that I do. The advocacy work, writing, trying to change public policy, and convince others to advocate for those changes. There was no accountability among even a single adult in my entire family on both my mother and father's sides. As I was growing up, my sister and I were dumped off by various family members of the family on one another in spite of good behavior and a lack of wrongdoing on our parts. Eventually, my parents themselves abandoned us to other people when we were teenagers. They would often disappear for long periods of time without telling people when they were coming back or bring money or basic provision so you'd have food to eat and things that we needed. I was left with strangers by my mother and my second stepfather in a distant state at 17 without any basic provision, a job, or transportation. My sister was dumped off to live with a surrogate family headed by a lawyer who went on to eventually become a judge. She spent more than a decade with those people. My father poisoned me against my sister, or rather, her against me, with lies and brainwashing. Dad eventually killed himself in 2012 after alienating both me and my sister from him, and my mom refused to take him back. He told his mother that he had lost everyone and everything that he ever loved. Mom repeatedly ran off following that time with various different boyfriends and her ex-husband. This was her fourth husband that she was running off with. Rather than fulfilling her responsibilities as a parent or grandmother. These individuals in my family would conspire to discredit anyone who brought public awareness to the concerns that I have shared. I was hated for being born to parents who were not well liked by either side of the family, and for being a better person than they were. A person should not be a pariah for being good and having values as a child. Aunts and uncles, as well as grandparents who simply did not want me, kept making me homeless as a child because I was not complying with unreasonable demands. They were verbally abusive, and oftentimes I was expected to be like a body slave to my dad's mother, who would often keep me, doing whatever she said and taking any verbal abuse that she dished out. Abuse or child labor demands should not be the cost of housing, food, or basic provision. Capitalism forces children and dependents to remain in bondage to their abusive families because no other alternatives are known by those individuals as those situations are affecting them. This is how it has been and how it will likely continue to be for others under current public policy for basic provision. Bad basic provision and public policy keeps victims and survivors trapped with abusive providers. Children should have the right to universal basic provision or universal basic income to secure those provisions. And if not that, then as a last resort, they should be able to work full-time, plus to free themselves from economic bondage to abusers and relatives who would want to exploit them in any way. They have an emancipation process, but you have to have money to file that, and you also have to understand a lot of different things to be able to take care of yourself independent of any parental or guardian figure. And currently in the United States, there is no universal basic provision for children coming from such situations as what I've described. They don't give you free housing. They put you in foster care, which may in some cases be arguably worse than where you're coming from. While I speak on these issues, there are other people out there who are continuing to deal with these circumstances and worse. Some of them have to trade their bodies in exchange for housing to be able to live at home. And when an individual comes forward with concerns about such a situation, social services and law enforcement do not help those people. Despite what anyone may believe or what they've been told, that help is not there. I know because I have met many people who have come forward, and eventually they aged out and became adults. And at 18, what the system does is it just dumps these individuals on the street and they become homeless, if you happen to be one of the individuals who goes into foster care. The only exception might be if a person is disabled with a crippling disease that leaves them unable to care for themselves or unable to walk or reason. In such case, there will be some social safety net for them, but that does not keep them out of poverty or ensure that all their needs are met.